Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. More about dissolving. It's the last part of this chapter. Now we are coming. Do all solid dissolve in water? Add a teaspoon of sugar to a glass of pure drinking water and stir. The sugar seems to disappear and the water remains clear. Is the sugar still in the water? How can you find out? The sugar has not disappeared in the thin air. It has dissolved in water to form clear and colorless solution. We know that the sugar is still there because the water tastes sweet. You can see the beaker. Here you can see as we are going to add sugar into the water so we can get the sugar solution. Now we'll talk about the separating an insoluble solid from water. Talc is insoluble in water. How can we separate the talc from the water? What can we use to separate talc from water? To separate tea leaves from some tea, we can use a sieve. However, a talc powder cannot be sieved out completely from the water because talc powder is small enough to go through the holes in the sieve. We can use a filter paper fitted in the filter funnel instead. The talc powder will be left as a residue on the filter paper as the talc powder is too large to pass through the pores, tiny holes, in the filter paper. The water is small enough to pass through the filter paper and is collected as filtrate in the conical flask. This method of separating an insoluble solid from a liquid is called filtration. In the next slide, you will see the filtration step. First, I would like to explain the picture. Here we have a glass rod, funnel, filter paper, mixture of solid and insoluble solid, filtered solid residue, and filtered liquid. Now I'm going to explain the step. The filtrations. The first step is stir and pour the mixture of insoluble solid and water into a filter funnel fitted with a filter paper. Collect the water which passes through the filter paper in a beaker or filter. The insoluble solid left as residue on filter paper. Separating a soluble solid from water. If you were to filter salt solution, both the salt and water will pass through the filter paper. The salt and water will not be separated. One way to separate the salt and water is to get rid of water by heating the salt solution. When heated, the water will evaporate, but the salt will not. Alternatively, a small amount of solution in an evaporating dish can be left in the warm place for the water to evaporate. The solid will be left behind after the water has evaporated. Some salt solution in a beaker is heated as shown below. We have a tripod stand. Under the tripod stand, we have a Bunsen burner, salt solution in a beaker, and the watch glass. The water in the salt solution evaporates to become water vapor when heated. The water vapor rises up the beaker. Upon touching the bottom of the watch glass, the water vapor cools, condenses, and changes into water droplets. Since only the water evaporates and condenses, the water droplets do not taste salty. The salt does not evaporate and is left in the beaker. As you may have found out from your investigation, how fast a solid dissolves in water depend on the following factor. Number 1, rate of stirring. The faster the solution or water is stirred, the faster the solid dissolves. Surface area of the solid. The greater the total surface of the solid, the faster it dissolves. This is why fine sugar crystal dissolves faster in water than a large piece of rock sugar. Temperature of the solution or water. The hotter the solution or water, the faster the solid dissolves. Some solids such as common salt and sugar can dissolve in water to form solution. Some solids such as talc and iron filing cannot dissolve in water. Insoluble solids can be separated from water by sieving and or filtration. Evaporation can be used to separate a soluble solid, such as common salt from water. Evaporation can be used to separate a soluble solid, such as common salt, from water. The factors which affect how fast a solid dissolves in water are the rate of stirring, the surface area of the solid, the temperature of the solution or water. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for